Former Vice President Atiku Abubakar is vying for electoral reforms in the election system because he has noticed some loopholes that he needs to be changed in order to restore faith in the 2027 elections. How do you guys see this now? Atiku says that we have to change the electoral system because there's too many loopholes there. So how do you see it now?
Okay, basically, I think Atiku Abubakar is right in this area. Actually, our electoral reforms need to be looked at. Yes, starting from the Senate, because we can see what happened in the 2023 election. How some areas, I think Lagos State, for example, how some areas in Lagos State where the elections was rigged massively, where the electoral system favored one party over the winning party. You know, we can see that during the election in 2023, Labour Party was actually winning in some parts of Lagos.
LOP 71.
Yes. So, but they had to use their power, the APC power and everything. You know, based on the fact that the electoral system, the electoral body INEC was in their palm, they used it to manipulate the results, and this has caused many young Nigerians, many youths, you know, to question actually the what is it need for us to go out to vote. Basically, if our votes are not being accounted for, you know, what is the need for us to go out to vote? So I think these are the loopholes, basically.
Yeah, it's funny that in a country or at this stage that we have gotten to in the 21st century, we are still relying on so much manual processes in order to qualify our elections. You know, I remember in the last 2023 election, I was seeing somebody come and I was using T-Pest correction pen to correct some certain things, also in Lagos State. So how do you see that in these states, and at this stage that we have gotten to, we are still relying on all these outdated electoral practices in order to qualify our elections?
I would just say it's a means of not telling ourselves the truth, because we know the world is advancing and it's advanced already. So we know if we can actually do some other things through technology, why can't we host elections online where people get to vote with their digital devices? Okay, let's say they're trying to say some persons won't be able to vote because they don't have gadgets. But then now there's a way you can actually make it that others without gadgets can actually vote. So I just think it's just a way so the results can be manipulated, and then they keep making it look like it's a difficult thing. They just know they don't want to do it. Because they keep talking about electoral reforms, but no, I don't think anybody brought this up because they tried using beavers the last elections. They spoke of beavers, but at the end of the day, nobody saw beavers. And I believe they were given money because of that, because they write budget now to conduct elections. But then at the end of the day, nobody saw beavers or knew what beavers was used for. But then they were making noise, beavers before the election time.
No, I just think it's funny, and permit me, I know Mr. Kevin might not like this one, I'm going to say that, but I just think it's funny that the person who is saying that there is loopholes in this election system is Atiku. I'm sorry. Like, you are the one who is saying that there is loopholes in the election system. Don't you just think it's just strange that maybe the system is not favoring you?
It's because the system is not favoring him. Yes, because if the system were to be favoring him, maybe he's in a ruling party and he has an upper hand. I don't think he will make that statement. I think he will also aid, I think, allegedly, he will also aid the loopholes. So it's just because it's not favoring him, that's why he's saying that now. Yes, but apart from that, everybody knows that there is loopholes in the electoral reform. Everybody knows that, and it's not favoring we, the masses. It's not favoring we, the youth. Yes, and adding to what Dan said, about technology. Yes, we see when we bring the topic of having technology to enable our voting system to be accurate. You see that most people we push it to the back. They'll see that it won't work. That it won't get to the poor masses in the villages for them to vote. But when you talk about that, we can actually adopt something like a CBT, what you did with Jump CBT. Have voting centers that is electronic, right? Where people can just go, they vote. And now you link each voter with their national identity number, right? Yeah. So there are many ways
that can actually make this thing.
I think there's an African country that actually implemented this technological vote, and they won. The opposition
party won. There was no means to make.
Yes. So if we can adopt that, we know what to do basically, but we don't want to do it.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing. Let's say when I was in NYSC. Let's just say when I was in NYSC, I'll come in. I'm driving somewhere. There was a time when we needed to do our biometric clearance, and we had all those issues. And during the process of doing our clearance, you have to do your thumbprints, do all those things.
Yeah.
During those times, registration was also going on. So which means those who were doing clearance needed to clear, those who need to register needed to register. The system was full. So there was no way, and for days, you could not even access those systems. So I'm thinking about it, and this is for NYC, that is limited to, let's say, hundreds of thousands of people. Now imagine on a global, on a nationwide scale, where we have to enter a system, we have to entertain potentially hundreds of millions of people, or millions of people, or tens of millions of people. I just don't think that Nigeria, from what I have seen and what I've experienced, I just don't think Nigeria is ready for that level of advancements. I don't think we can tackle it with just like technological CBT as you suggested. You think so?
Why can't we?
I said when I was in the.
I still get your example.
Yeah.
But I think one problem with Nigeria, we are not structured, we are not organized, right? Most of us, not everyone. Yeah, there are still people that are very organized in this country. When you go to the private sector, you see them. Yes, but Nigerians, especially those in the government, they're not really structured, they're not organized, right? They just do things anyhow, right? Because we are not more than US. US, for example, they have population, so and they are able to conduct these things. But one will actually argue with him that United States is not. It's not a new country, it's an old country.
No.
Yeah, but again, apart from that, we can still do better.
Yeah.
I believe we can do better.
The reason I'm saying this because, yes, the US is not an old country. It's not a new country. It's an old country. And they have, US as arguably one of the most technologically advanced nations in the world. Yeah. But this is Nigeria. And you're not talking about taking it to some villages and rural areas that don't even have access to technology per se. You understand? I just don't think it's going to work in the way we intended. I don't think it's at least feasible, even in the 2027. Do you?
Looking at what you said also, for me, I'm not seeing it as it might even be used as a channel. You
see what I'm saying?
You see, you might even use it as a channel to extort from the government or even the citizens collecting money. So, but what we're seeking is for a free, fair election. That's what we want. If there's a better way that we can have a free and fair election without it being manipulated or rigged. That's just what we desire. That our vote counts. We go out there, we vote who we desire, and then the result comes out. And the result announces the winner, not the INEC announcing who they want to announce. Yeah, allegedly they announce who they want to announce. So we just want a state where democracy is not just said, but it's practiced. That's what we want.
Now, I'm going to pose this question to everyone here. Genuinely, are you going to be voting for the 2027 elections, Mr. Kelvin?
Of course I will vote.
You vote?
I will vote.
But do you trust that your vote will count?
No, I don't trust my vote to count. Yes, because with what we are seeing, it seems the government, they're not really ready to make this country a better place, right? If they're really ready, if you put your mind to something that you want to achieve something, or you put your mind to something that you want this to work, it will work. Okay. Now, starting from the INEC, they're not independent. Yes, they're not independent.
But the I literally means
they're just deceiving themselves. They're not independent. So that is from them. They're not independent. If the INEC can be independent, truly independent, we now know, okay, these people are truly ready. But for the fact that the INEC they're not really independent, that means we should be expecting almost the same thing in 2027. We should be expecting an election that will not come out well, that will not favor those that really worked for it, those that will work for the nation. Yes, we should expect rigging. Okay, yes, we should expect it. Yeah, because the INEC is not independent. There are no mechanisms put in place that will aid a perfect election. Okay, so basically, I don't think very much.
But you vote. But you still vote. Okay, what about you, Daniel? Will you?
I actually applied for a voter's card though, but then, the dangers that come while voting, insecurities and the rest. So it still depends. If the government is willing that we should vote and wants a free and fair, credible election and ensures everybody has a safe voting space, because there are times where you go to vote and your life is at stake.
Your
and some
life
people
is at stake,
end up losing their lives to vote, and the vote still ends up not counting most times. So if there's actually a reform, and this bill is passed, and it works out well as planned, then okay, I will be voting because I want a better Nigeria. So I think the only way in which the youth can voice out in this coming election is to go out there and vote. That's for me, though.
It's funny that you say that about like election violence and things that are happening, but threat of life. Because I remember in the last election, 2023, I think it went viral somewhat that in a particular section of Lagos State, a man literally came out and he said, "This voting center is for APC. If you vote any other thing."
So you can imagine that kind of stuff. And he wasn't arrested.
He wasn't arrested. The funny thing is, like, there were INEC officials conducting. He was standing, like, I'm just like the way I'm talking. He was standing, like, right here. INEC officials were doing that. And it was like, yeah, if you try anything. And that's the level of insecurity that we have in this thing. Is there any way to fix that?
Like I said earlier, if the government is really ready to fix it, they will.
But the government that is in power is the person that he was defending.
It all lies in the hands of the government. Like I say, after God is government, right? So it all lies in their hand for them to rise up and say, okay, we want a free and fair and credible election. But if they will still continue by going through this way, when we expect we can't do something, we can't continue doing something like repeatedly. And you expect different results. Okay, if you do something the same way you did it last 2 years, you do it the same way this year, you still get the same result. So I don't see us having
a free and fair election. All right, so that's the discussion on the ground, and I really want to hear your thoughts in the comments. Would you be voting in the 2027 election? Because even Atiku is saying that there are loopholes, and we have to reform. We need reform in order to address those loopholes. So, are you confident in the 2027 election, and would you be voting? Let us know in the comments, and thank you for watching. This is the Youth Agenda, and we'll see you on the next one. Peace.